the whole preseason.
But I added something into the Wake Up Call family. It's called Toppings and Touchdowns. So what Toppings and Touchdowns is our opportunity, and the video's already been loaded on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. It's on our Instagram channel at WakeUpCall_DT. It'll be on YouTube as well tonight on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And it'll be on X, the former Twitter, at CallDT. And it'll be on the front page of our website. And it's Toppings and Touchdowns is you and I, Al, a national champion, two-time All-American, played for the Pitt Panthers with the very little-known Tony Dorsett.
Who?
Exactly. And so won a national championship with Pitt, came from Central New York. So,
Texas.
Yeah.
So topping.
Yeah, he lives in Plano, Texas. So.
Yeah. So Toppings and Touchdowns, you and I, was an idea I came up with for you and I to create our own pizza at Pizza Man. Luke and Jimmy Delia were nice enough to let us in the kitchen, and we shot an entire video. Y'all go and check it out. It's a lot of fun. You get to see the entire process. Al didn't know what I was making. I didn't know what he was making. And we put our pizza together, customized our toppings. Al took most of my toppings. And then we put them in the oven. Jimmy takes them out. And then we gave them a name as well.
Yeah. Yes. And my name for my pizza means something.
So does mine.
And what is that?
Mine is named after my culture. So it's called the Hispan-Italian. Hispanic and Italian. So the Hispan-Italian because...
Well, you know what?
Oh, now grab a slice.
No, that's boring.
No, it's not.
Everybody's Italian or
Look at this.
Hispanic.
Look at that. No, they're not. So the Hispan-Italian, which is really shiny here, it's got some Mike's Hot Honey for the Hispanic side for me. It's got some pineapple for that as well. And then on the Italian side, we have the green peppers and the pepperoni, and then some bacon and sausage, which can be kind of on both worlds. So this is the Hispan-Italian pizza that I'm going to be eating here right now because I love it.
Did you know he's eating and I'm not? But what he doesn't have...
Point off the camera because Al ate most of his pizza before he started.
Yes, my pizza is gone. Anyway, mine has a secret ingredient in it as well. He cheated bringing out this hot oil, which is an amazing...
Mike's Hot Honey.
Yeah, it's an amazing...
You can't call it the Hispan-Italian unless I put some more little sweet kick to it.
Well, mine has the true ingredient for all Italian dishes.
Love?
Romano cheese.
Okay, all right. All right.
So what, you have a Tortora cheese out there somewhere?
Probably somewhere we got one. There's a Tortora somewhere. Somewhere there's a Tortora. Actually, in Italy, there's a few restaurants that allegedly have our name within it. So, Tortora in the name of the restaurant. I don't know if it's family. Could be. Maybe not. Who knows? But I'm supposed to be going to Italy soon.
Nice.
Try and look up some of my family. I do know some of my family out in Spain, so I keep in touch with them. But the Hispan-Italian is the name of mine because it bonds my two cultures. Yours is called the what, and tell everybody why.
Bruce. I know you're all laughing. I named my pizza Bruce.
After your first boyfriend.
But well, that could be, but I'm not going to admit that here.
He did it off the air. So.
Yeah, really.
All right.
Anyway, Bruce, when I was with the Oilers at training camp, there was a guy named Bruce. He was what was that Notre Dame movie that they put out that...
Rudy.
Rudy.
Which is why Notre Dame still gets ranked in the top 25.
Right, well, they should never be, but anyway, this guy was the toughest, but he was small. He didn't meet the NFL standards, 6'2", 245 pounds, and so on. Well, this kid was tough, and he kicked everybody's butt at camp. And I was shocked when they let him go because he was outstanding.
Yeah.
And I kind of hung with him. We would go to the bars and, later on after practice and all that.
And drink water.
And no, we would never drink water. Texas water's not good for you.
Oh, okay.
Tequila's good for you.
Oh, okay. Is that what keeps from the Mexican water, the tequila?
Yeah, well, that's why they invented tequila.
Yeah.
Because their water was so bad.
So that they could kill all the bacteria in the water.
Exactly.
Tequila will kill it.
Exactly. Right. So anyway, that's why I call him Bruce.
Yeah, so the Bruce which Al has over here. And I'm going to try the Bruce. You already had a piece of mine, but Al ate mine so quick, which for two reasons, I think. Number one, you ate it so quick because it's good. And number two, it's because you wanted a second piece.
Well, I'm going to eat a piece of this one over here.
Piece of yours. I'm going to try yours for the first time.
Wow. You know what?
Because I followed the rules and I waited.
Did you say a little while ago this is the first ever in the whole world and that what we're doing?
Toppings and touchdowns, but you had my pizza before we started.
Tell me, did you tell me the rules?
I did.
There are none because
I said we're not on camera. You said we got to eat each other's slice on camera, and then you ate my slice before we got on camera. So you didn't follow your own rules.
I'm not going to win this conversation.
Not at all. But I do want to let it be known that you ate every inch of my pizza to the point where there's not even a piece of crust left. So I think you've admitted that the Hispan-Italian is pretty good. You had a lot of sausage on yours. I think you stole too much off of my plate.
I stole all your sausage. But you know what's amazing?
It's good.
A real Italian pizza really doesn't have bacon in it. But they crumble the bacon so fine.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Whose ingredient was bacon? Mine.
Was it?
Sausage? Mine.
Well, you didn't pay attention. Anyway, it's very good.
I tried to set Al up here, but it's good. Yours is pretty good here.
He tries to make me look bad.
It's pretty good. It's not as good as that one, but it's pretty good. So your toppings were bacon, sausage, pepperoni, mushroom.
A lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. Mine is green peppers, pepperoni, bacon, sausage, pineapple, and Mike's Hot Honey.
Well,
Little kick, little Italian flavor to it. Little all in the hips Hispanic flavor, Hispan-Italian. Put it all together.
well, listen.
I think we did a good job.
It's obvious that if I don't say you win, we're going to be on this topic forever.
I think the reality, Al, is the speed at which you ate my pizza was faster than you ate your own. So I give listen, I think I won. I think if you go back and check the tape, Luke said mine passed the eye test twice. And then Jimmy said he really likes the hot honey, but he said he couldn't choose between the two of us. So I think
This is my godson.
So I think this is how it goes. If it's a tie between us for Jimmy, and Luke chose me and I choose me, and you obviously chose me by the speed at which you ate it, then it's 3-1. But it's good. Listen, it's Pizza Man Pizza, and on a crazy busy day, when they got 1 million orders coming in, because you're amazing and you support local and you know to come to Pizza Man for all these years, with all of these orders going through for Pizza Man, as busy as they were, and Jimmy and Luke and the entire team back there just killing it, getting after it, they found a spot for us, gave us our toppings, set us up, and took care of us. So while they took care of you, they still took care of us. And for
They truly did. I mean, I actually felt bad because, again, I used to be involved with this with Jimmy Sr. And we're right in the middle of the thick of it when they were getting all their orders. And we were able to show you how we made our pizzas. And anyway, kudos to Lukey and Jim.
And with all of the stuff that we did for Toppings and Touchdowns, going into this conversation, the extension of Toppings and Touchdowns as we continue here on Wake Up Call exclusively, sitting here at Pizza Man Pub on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. Well, we got everything together for our show. They didn't miss a beat. They didn't miss a ticket. Nothing in the kitchen stopped. And that talks about their professionalism and their incredible ability to respond so well. It's hot outside. Y'all didn't want to cook tonight. You just want it's the day before school's starting again. Which, by the way, stop starting school on a Wednesday. Just give the kids the rest of the week. You don't start on a Wednesday. That's ridiculous. If you're not going to start on Monday, which is Labor Day, and not on Tuesday, then just wait until the following Monday. Let the kids have a little more time. But no matter what happened, tonight at the table you had Pizza Man, and we hope that someday you can have the Bruce and the Hispanic Italian.
Exactly.
And the tickets will be 3-1 Hispanic Italian or the Bruce.
Oh my.
So let's talk college football. It's the other side of toppings and touchdowns. We talked about our pizza. Now it's time to talk about football.
You know how you married guys, you know how we got to agree with the wife? Well, I'm agreeing with him just to get him off my ass. Okay?
He's agreeing with me because his stomach already did. By the way, what does Luke think?
Well, Lukey, if you looked at the picture, this is a picture of Lukey here.
We shrunk Luke.
And you know what? He's not saying much tonight. I don't understand it.
No, we shrunk Luke, who just celebrated his 40th. We got into that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids machine. Yeah, we got that. We shrunk Luke, so this is actually Luke in real time. This is not a paper cutout of him. He's just really good at staring contests.
Well, yeah.
So this is Lukey. We love you, Luke. Yeah. So let's get into college football.
All right.
Some teams played tough games, and some teams basically just took a walk down the park. Pitt played Wofford in a crucial game that they won 45-7. Syracuse played Colgate, and I've never covered a game in 19 plus years as a broadcaster where Syracuse scored 65 points and shut a team out. I've never been on site for that. So it was cool to see. 4 strings of Syracuse players played in that game. All the quarterbacks got out there, which was nuts. Braden Davis got out, fumbled the ball. They took him out immediately. Shout out to Carlos Del Rio Wilson, the true backup quarterback at Syracuse right now, behind Garrett Schrader. So Schrader had 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, albeit against Colgate, but still, his first 3 drives were 3 touchdowns. 3 passing touchdowns on 3 drives.
They got the order of quarterbacks pretty well done.
Yeah, some good stuff. So those were the games. Obviously, Pitt and Syracuse, they did well. What can you learn? You played in games like this. What do you learn from a game that you're supposed to win, that's supposed to give you an opportunity to get experience against other jerseys, that's supposed to get multiple strings out there? What can you learn from a Wofford or a Colgate? With no disrespect to them, obviously they're on the schedule with the belief that Syracuse and Pitt can beat them. So what do you learn from a game that you win by 30 plus or 65-0?
Well, to be honest with you, when I was with Pitt and Syracuse it was called the Big East, which is a travesty the way that worked out. We didn't have.
It may be back soon.
Right, we did not have a game like this. We started with conference and ended with conference, and it was understood that if you ever want to make yourself known, we would have to go out of the conference. No.
And there's also less games back then.
Yes. Now, when I was in college, we played the national championship team 3 years straight.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it was. And very fortunate for us, we were the national champs my 4th year. They didn't have a Fordham or Wolford or whatever.
Citadel,
yeah. They didn't have it. We didn't do that.
Let's look at the top 4 teams in the preseason rankings. Top 4, Georgia played UT Martin. Michigan played East Carolina.
East Carolina.
Not bad.
No.
I know Mike Houston pretty well. So that was probably the biggest one. Ohio State played Indiana in conference.
Which is unusual.
And Alabama played Middle Tennessee.
Which is, for Alabama, honestly, they should have played somebody. You know what? They're always fighting for number 1.
Yeah.
Always. And they are most of the time.
Right.
But, you want to start out being number 1. Play somebody.
Right.
Play Texas.
Right, which they will this
weekend.
Yeah.
But play them in the beginning of the year. You're going to get a gazillion dollars for playing it because it's the game.
Well, and the thing is, people don't want to lose, right? Nobody wants to lose a game to start the season. Case in point, Clemson.
Right. Which is very unfortunate because Clemson is really, as far as the ACC, they're kind of the people who keep that ACC glued.
Right, but 4 years ago, I was sitting at a press conference at the Liberty Bowl when the Memphis Tigers finally won an AAC championship game. Sitting there with Memphis and Cincinnati, I had the opportunity to interview someone I had interviewed for 4 years. His name is Mike Norvell. At the end of that press conference, shortly after, he took the job at Florida State. My exact words were, "Don't worry, Florida State. You got a great one. He knows how to coach. He knows how to win. He knows how to recruit guys that go to the NFL, sends a ton of guys to the NFL, and I have no fear, no worry in my mind at all, in any stretch of the imagination, that Mike Norvell isn't a good hire. Give him some time. You guys will win." My other dad, I call him my Uncle Papa Joe, he came on the show, he said, "Give Mike Norvell 3 years." We agreed, first few years, 3-4 years, he'll be fine. This is year 4, really 3.5, because the COVID year they played like 5 games. We both said, Mike Norvell will get Florida State right, just give him time. And I believe, going into the season before they played LSU this week, I had them at worst 10-2 this season. Florida State, in my opinion, if I had to put my feet to the fire right now, they're in the college football playoff, and Clemson is not.
Wow. Yeah. It's only one game.
But I got I have Florida State in the college football playoff.
Oh, you
I think they're going to make it.
Before this past game.
I had them at 10-2 before this past game. But with what I saw against LSU, which I had them beating LSU, I had them beating LSU. I didn't have them beating LSU by 3 touchdowns.
We're going to find out when. I think Texas, first of all, they overrate Big Ten.
Oh, always. We talk about it all the time.
Right.
Who do they beat? Last year, the only ranked teams that Michigan and Ohio State beat were inside of the Big Ten.
Right.
And they were ranked high because they were in the Big Ten. So they look like a top 10 win, but they're not. It's a top 10 Big Ten unfair advantage win. But who does the Big Ten beat out of conference during the regular season?
It's historic. They get out of conference, they get beat. I mean, have they won an SEC game ever? I'm sure they have. Yeah. I'm making a point here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that SEC's that powerful, but the SEC's strong 6 to 7 teams deep. Okay? The Big Ten's strong 2 to 3 teams deep.
And the 2 teams
are always the same.
Have typically not shown up in the college football playoff.
Right.
Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State got embarrassed by Clemson before they took it to Clemson the other time around. And Michigan looked like a shell of itself against Georgia and could be the reason why Trayvon Walker was picked by my Jaguars over Aiden Hutchinson, because of that game where Aiden Hutchinson disappeared and Trayvon Walker had himself a day. Georgia gets ranked high and they back it up. Alabama gets ranked high and they back it up. Clemson typically gets ranked high and they back it up. Michigan and Ohio State once again ranked in the preseason top 4, and their schedule typically is no ranked teams except for each other and maybe Penn State.
And occasionally Michigan State.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Right. But remember a couple years ago, Michigan State lost to Purdue, and the next week they ranked Purdue in the top 25, who wasn't even in the top 25, brought them into 21, and the next week took them out.
They got destroyed.
But this is why I think they did it. Michigan State loses to Purdue, and they got to prove that Purdue...
I remember that. Didn't Northwestern beat them?
Probably.
I think it was Northwestern.
Somebody did. But this is the thing.
Next week.
Michigan State loses to Purdue, and then the next week they put Purdue as the top 21st team in the country to make Michigan State's loss look like a quality loss, and then they took them right out after that. There is this craziness of the Big Ten where the only teams that they play and beat that are ranked typically are inside of their conference, and it looks like a top 3 win, but it's against each other. It's Ohio State and Michigan, and if you look at it, they go 6-7 weeks before playing a ranked team. That's not what Florida State did. That's not what Duke did. There's a lot of teams that are playing ranked teams to start off the season, and they're actually testing themselves. Alabama's going to play Texas this week.
Yeah, but they're playing the game with Penn State too.
Oh yeah, Penn State gets put in the top 10, top 12
every year. Yeah. Tell me when at the end of the season they were in the top 15.
Right.
The Big Ten is so overrated. It's ridiculous. Now the SEC,
they back it up.
They do back it up.
They back it up.
Yeah, they're
Georgia, Alabama, and then you would figure as time goes by, LSU, Auburn, Arkansas has gotten better, Kentucky.
Look at
You
Kansas.
would hope that Florida gets better
Look
too.
at Kansas. I mean, who's heard of them? And they're supposed to have a decent team.
Yeah, we see that team coming in. I mean, there's so many problems with the college football playoff, and luckily it's expanding, and hopefully things will continue to go well in that respect. But when we look at the only team currently ranked in the top 5 that played someone ranked is Florida State.
Florida State.
And Florida State is ranked 4th in the country. I said going into our Toppings and Touchdowns show today on Wake Up Call this morning that if Florida State was not ranked in the nation's top 25, it would have been a mistake. So they're in the top 4. What are your thoughts on Florida State after the LSU game that was played on neutral ground in Orlando, albeit a relative home game for the Tallahassee-based team?
They're going to be reckoned with, I'm telling you right now. But the thing is the only thing that scares me there is, from what I understand of the personnel, really a bunch of young guys. And I know when I was a freshman playing, when I made the first team at Pitt as a freshman, believe me, the adrenaline was through my brain.
Yeah.
And can you do that every week? I don't think so.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, taking a look at, this opportunity that we have here for Florida State, I think Florida State is in a great place to really put a special season together, and I have them, like I said, I have them in really good footing. I think going into the season, preseason-wise, I had them at 10-2. I think at worst they're going to have 10 wins, and I think they're going to be in the college football playoff. I really do.
I hope so.
Mike Norvell finally figured it out. Well, I shouldn't say finally figured it out. He needed some time, so I'm not going to say finally figured it out. He did a lot of good things, and the success is showing itself from what I thought he would build at Florida State. He did it at Memphis. He's doing it at Florida State, and I'm not surprised at all. And we're right on schedule for Mike Norvell to make this team a national power again.
He's going to be there a long time.
Yeah. And so outside of that, we did have some upsets. Wanted to get your thoughts on some of them. I stayed up for this one and watched Wyoming defeat Texas Tech in Wyoming, Josh Allen's alma mater, almost the school that Eric Dungy went to if Syracuse hadn't recruited him so heavily. Shout out Tim Lester. So it could have been Dungy and Allen fighting for the starting quarterback job at Wyoming. Wyoming, double overtime, gets a touchdown, makes the 2-point conversion that Texas Tech missed, and wins in double overtime against the Big 12. What's your thoughts on the Wyoming game and those Cowboys?
Well, I mentioned adrenaline.
Yeah.
You got Hollywood down there coaching. Dion, he has got those kids. And
Well, not in that one. That's Wyoming and
you said Colorado.
Wyoming. Did I say Wyoming and Texas
Colorado.
Tech?
Oh, Texas
Yes,
Tech.
Texas
yeah,
Tech,
yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I was thinking Wyoming didn't play Colorado.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Dion because I got a couple thoughts I want to hear from you. But in that Wyoming game, the double overtime game, what are your thoughts on the fact that they defeated Texas Tech? I think it was 11 or 12 games they had lost in a row to the Big 12.
It's going to say all the conferences are going to have to, pick it up. I'll tell you what I want to get on. I don't know if I want to get on it this time.
Okay.
The money that they're playing these kids is, I think,
Astronomical.
ruining college.
Yeah.
Now, if the NCAA, which to me is a Mickey Mouse organization,
Right.
if they knew what they were doing from day one,
Yeah.
they would immediately put caps or this is what you can do.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
And the schools with the richest alumni are going to win.
Well, it's the same schools. It's the South.
Yeah.
You know, Florida's going to have money.
You got
Alabama's going to have money.
Well, you got a couple Western schools out there with
Right.
big money too.
Right. Well, you got Oregon. You got USC. You know, but I mean, the reality of it all is Penn State's got money. Notre Dame's got money. But the schools that can already recruit well, that don't need the help, they got the boosters. They got the money. Syracuse isn't going to hold a candle to Penn State. You're not going to see East Carolina hold a candle to Notre Dame. It's just not going to happen. Now, there's good coaches in certain places, and I'm a fan of Mike Houston at East Carolina. Dino and I are close here at Syracuse. There's some good coaches around the country that have to deal with the fact that they have to re-recruit their team every year now. And, you know, everybody talks about Dion, and what did Dion do? And Dion's got 70 new players and yada, yada, yada. Well, let me throw this at you. I interviewed a guy called Alex Golish. Alex Golish, the head coach of South Florida, he had to replace half his team. So that's at least 50 guys. Then I interviewed Biff Poggi, who had to take 50 to 70 new players onto the team in Charlotte. So everyone's talking about what Dion is doing with Colorado, but Charlotte, which won their first game and hasn't won a lot of games since being a D1 team and is very young in football, Charlotte with Biff Poggi and South Florida with Alex Golish are both in the same boat of replacing at least half of their roster, but everybody's talking about Dion.
Well, first of all, he's a showman.
Yeah.
I'm 18 years old. I'm being recruited by Dion.
Yeah. Neon Dion.
Are you kidding? I mean, Johnny Majors was like that.
Yeah.
He had that charisma. He had that southern charm. Jackie Sherrill was our assistant head coach.
Yeah.
Jackie Sherrill would kick your ass. I mean, every time you did something wrong. Johnny would go to Jackie and say, hey, kick his ass. Johnny would say, believe me, that's how it worked. And fortunately, they did it in my generation because, you know, we won a national championship. But
right.
Dion is going to be fine. But if he doesn't prove it after his third year,
yeah,
the smoke and mirrors are gone.
But here's the thing with Dion, and I want to ask you about this. Because you had coaches that obviously were different than Dion in the sense of maybe having some tough love and not being, you know, showboats, so to speak. What do you think about the fact that Dion is all about Dion and likes to tell people about Dion and likes to mention Dion and is constantly talking about Dion? What is that going to do to his team down the road? Do you think it could affect them in a negative way if they see their coach just keep loving himself up?
I don't think it makes. I honestly think it's not going to make a difference.
Okay.
I really don't. Think about it. You're exciting 18 and sometimes 17-year-old kids in high school, seniors in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to get to the point where, you know, another generation, they won't remember Dion in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just like they don't remember me in the NFL.
Well, they should. They should remember you in the NFL. They should remember you in your national championship and what you did for Salve and in general being here. So, looking at college football right now in this edition of Wake Up Call, an all-new segment called Toppings and Touchdowns, as we customized our own pizzas at Pizza Man. Go and watch the video. It's awesome. And I appreciate Jimmy and Luke Delia for letting us do it here on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. Al made his pizza with his toppings, customized it, gave it a name. I knew nothing about his. I made mine, customized mine, put a name. He knew nothing about mine. Put it all together and had some fun. Is Florida State for real, though? Let's get back to Florida State. It's where Dion played. Is Florida State a national contender?
I don't think this year.
I think they are.
Yeah. Well, you could be right.
I think they'll reside in the top 4.
Think about it. Things have changed because if I know I have a weakness here, I'm just going to go buy it. And that's what's unfortunate about college.
Well, let me tell you something that Dino did, and not that he's the only coach that did it, but this to me proves that we now have NFL free agency in college football. 2 weeks into the fall camp, we're going into the season, we're mid-August. Dino looks around the room and goes, we need another defensive back. And he goes into the portal, and he brings a guy in 2 weeks into camp, Miles Farmer from Nebraska. Is that not NFL free agency? You're in the middle of training camp.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're in the middle of training camp. You go, where's my weakness? Yeah, you go into the portal, you bring a guy in.
Syracuse is a private school. They don't have the money. They don't have Pittsburgh. That's a private school. They don't have the money like these state schools. Think about the revenue. I've been down where Alabama is.
Yeah.
That town is a little larger than Solvay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's not a big town.
Yeah.
Think about the money that Alabama revenue. It's insane. Right. The stadium is like right in the middle of town.
Well, you look at Florida State. There's nothing in Tallahassee except for Florida State. There's about 3 hotels. There's a few places to eat. There's a really nice Publix where I bought something and Jameis Winston did not. And there's Florida State. And if you go to Florida State and you look at their arena, their stadium seats about 90,000 people, and it looks like Hogwarts. It looks like the castle from Harry Potter on the outside, and it's just giantly beautiful. And then you go inside, and it's this. It looks like a castle. Then you go in, and it's this football arena. They have this beautiful Seminole, a member of the Seminole tribe on a horse, in this awesome statue going in. And I mean, it's just, Florida State is a different. Think about Gainesville. You talk about like these places that have a ton of money. Gainesville is this little tiny place, but you got the Florida Gators, and you got a ton of money, a lot of money. You got a coach you don't want, and his buyout's $30 million. You got 2 guys band together and go, hey, you can spend 15, I'll spend 15. Let's get this guy out of here.
That's how it's working. It's awful.
But you know, when Syracuse did that, when they did the little free agency thing, not that they can't, because they can, but when they did that, it just made me stop and think to myself, how do you bring a guy in 2 weeks in? And let me throw this at you too. Because I think Syracuse did it to their advantage, and they can do it, and it follows the rules, and it's great. What I'm saying is it's college pro free agency. But the other thing I wanted to add to this is, as you look at NIL in the transfer portal, there was 2,737 names in the college football transfer portal, Division I AFBS, the last time I checked, which was a few days ago. If you add them all up, of the names that withdrew and the names that found homes, there's still 1,100 people looking for a home. 2,700 plus student athletes in there, and over 1,100 of them that went into the portal don't have a team, don't have an education, don't have a full ride, and don't have a plan toward the future. And that to me is the travesty. 2,700 names and 1,100 without a home.
The university has nothing to say about that money. In other words, it's not a university affiliated whatsoever.
Yeah.
So this is what's going to happen. That money coming in is not tax deductible. If you gave it to the university to give to the kid, it's tax deductible.
Yeah.
Things are going to change. These rich guys aren't stupid. They didn't become rich for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's going to change. And then you're going to see it level out. And unfortunately, the NCAA didn't figure this out.
No, and they didn't figure it out going in. But I mean, you obviously were a student athlete. Knowing that there is 2,700 names in the transfer portal, and we're sitting here at the beginning of September, and there's 1,100 student athletes without a home, how does that make you feel that here they are thinking grass is greener on the other side? They leave their free education, they leave the team that they're on, and now there's 1,100 student athletes with nowhere to go.
Obviously, they didn't have good guidance. I mean.
So now they might be 18, 19 years old, no education,
Either the guys,
nowhere to go.
Either the guys, yes, it's unfortunate, and that's why.
And what are they going to do? They're going to go right back to the neighborhood that they were in,
and
with no education.
right, and probably not do well. You know.
So there needs to be some type of check and balance, because there's always going to be more chairs, or there's always going to be more people than chairs.
The NCAA.
Put back the one year
Year in residency, yeah. The year in residency. Yeah, because there's guys that'll go to 3 teams in 4 years.
Yeah. And it's going to continue.
And think about that. When you transfer, not all your credits transfer over. So every time you transfer, you're going to be behind in education. So if you transfer once, you're behind. You transfer 3 times, you're going to have to stay even longer. And they're not gonna. But when you look at a freshman who's 18 years old, who goes to Miami, doesn't start, goes through spring ball, and they say, you're not going to be a starting receiver, and they say, well, then screw you, coach. I'm getting in the portal because I deserve to start because I'm the greatest player ever, and everybody told me I'm great. And now that kid's sitting in the portal right now, and we've already started the season, and nobody needs him, nobody wants him. He's 18 years old, and he's got, what's his future look like?
You don't understand. We need those guys. We need those losers to get this thing leveled out. You got young players that are great players. They would be superstars at Fordham or Cornell or whatever. But this it's not going to self-fix. But I don't understand the NCAA still sitting back there and doing nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Because they want the government to take it over. And this is my thing about the national government.
Look, we got government taking over our country right now, and it sucks.
But this is my thing. Why would you want the national government to have control over one more thing where they've proven that they can't do anything right with what they have control over?
They don't do anything right.
You want the government, who can't figure anything out, to now tell college athletes what to do? That'll be a giant mistake.
A friend of mine wanted to buy a car.
Stop passing the bill and figure it out, NCAA.
A friend of mine wanted to buy a car today. I took him up to Romano. Okay. Romano Mercedes. He wanted to buy, he's a hardworking guy.
Yeah.
The new Sprint Mercedes truck, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, if he was a college football player, somebody would have bought one for him.
Well, yeah. Anyway, we're talking to the salesman, who is an immigrant from Turkey, which is a controlled country.
Yeah.
And he's been here 30 years, and he said that this country, the way it's going is worse than what he came from.
Well, and
how sad is that?
Well, I have family. I have a really good friend, like family to me, John. His wife is from the Ukraine. She has no dog in the race. She's not from here, but she moved here. Obviously, they got married. They have 2 beautiful girls. The last couple years, I'm talking at least 3 years ago, she's walking by the TV and she's looking at John and she's going, this is what happened to Ukraine. She said, your country's becoming a socialist country. And she said, she's like, I lived it. I saw it with everything with Russia. She came from Ukraine, and she tells him all the time she's watching the news, she goes, why are Americans so stupid? You're literally becoming a socialist country. The media is doing all the same things that happened to us in Ukraine. Why is nobody stopping it?
And you know, the people listening to us right now, and we know they're thinking that we're rightist, we're way over the.
No, I just want people to be treated with respect.
You are so far left, you lost your mind and your ears, because I voted for as many Democrats as I had Republicans, and these leftists will not. If Jesus Christ came down and was on the right, they wouldn't vote for him.
Well, and that's the thing, is I tell people this all the time. Whether you're on the right or the left, somewhere in the middle, we all want the same stuff. And anyone that would want the government to have control of your money, your house, your car, make you have an electric car so you have to stop and plug in for hours, and your phone and your web. I mean, the government is not going to protect you, folks. It's just control. The more control you give the government, the less control you have. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, white, green, blue, brown, purple, turquoise. It's all the same, man. It's all the same.
Anyway,
We need to help each other.
To answer your
We
thing
need to
on
help each
Florida
other.
State, I think Florida State will be in serious contention.
Yeah.
But you always got Alabama.
Yeah.
And
Georgia.
Absolutely Georgia.
Right.
And Ohio State always makes a ripple.
Right. But I would love to see, and I think we're going to see Florida State. Before we hop out of here, we talked a little bit about Colorado and the Dion factor.
Well, right now, all that is great for college football. It really is. I mean, I'm not a Dion fan. I'm not a Dallas fan.
Yeah.
I truly think that he is good for the sport right now.
I think Dion's, great energy. I just want to make sure it's not all about him, of course. But I do want to make a note of this. Willow running. So Willow running, I do want to make a note of Willow running here. We have the Booze and Brews 5K exactly a week after my birthday on October 28th, 2023, which is a Saturday in Baldwinsville. It's a haunted Halloween 5K race. Costumes are not mandatory, but certainly encouraged. You can find out more information by going to willowrunning.com, and you get a custom long sleeve shirt, and you also get a finisher medal in this. And this is going to be there's going to be a separate costume contest as well, with a prize awarded to the best, and many other pieces here. There's a QR code which you can scan on your screen. Right now, you can scan that on your screen here on Wake Up Call in Toppings and Touchdowns. Scan it on your screen. Booze and Brews 5K, October 28th, Baldwinsville, New York. Willow running. Make sure you scan that and get involved in the race that is a week after my birthday. And Willow running, I want to thank them for being a part of this as well. So it's a nice football.
Good size.
I like it. So, final note, my buddy, who I covered while he was being recruited, making his decision, covered him through his recruitment, and when it came down to Syracuse and Duke, this Alabama-born quarterback chose Duke. His name is Riley Leonard. I have believed in him and his journey. I have had a lot of faith in it all the way through. And Riley Leonard became the starting quarterback for Duke, came into this season as their leader, and on international television last night, defeated Clemson 28-7, and there was a quarterback run where Riley Leonard ran down the right sideline, and I'm going to say this right now, he looked like an NFL quarterback on that run. I think my guy Riley Leonard, good friend of mine, is going to make it to the NFL.
I was shocked. That last run was... I mean, first of all, I don't know where Clemson's defense was, but that kid's not that fast.
Clemson wasn't the same last year, but who would have thought Clemson... I mean, when Clemson lost to Duke, I had to kind of shake my head a little bit and remind myself I wasn't watching a basketball game, and it wasn't Coach K. This is the football field. Duke, at one time, was the worst Division I FBS football team in America, and Syracuse was in the bottom 6 with them. And now Duke just beat Clemson on international TV to the world. And my buddy, Riley Leonard, number 13, my grandpa's lucky number, their quarterback, kicked some tail yesterday.
Well, I'm going to give you another sneak. Tennessee.
Yeah, the Volunteers. I thought last year they could have made the college football playoff.
They're in the top 3 of scoring touchdowns in the country.
Yeah. And do you know who their coach is? I covered him for 2 years at UCF, Josh Heupel.
Yes.
So, very proud of you,
Last
Josh.
year we talked about him.
We did, and you know what? If Tennessee had not lost one of those games late in the season, I think they were a college football playoff team. And I actually said at one point they were the best team in college football.
They average in 3 years, since 21.
Yeah.
21 points a game.
Yeah.
I mean, how many schools, even Alabama, I don't know if they can, some of the schools they play, they run it up. That makes your average different.
Right. But college football season has officially begun. Toppings and Touchdowns is a new segment created here exclusively on Wake Up Call.
That's right.
And we are bringing you something you've never seen before, where your hosts go into a kitchen, customize their own pizzas, put them all together, get them in the oven, eat them on screen while we talk about football. National champion and two-time All-American Al Romano, myself, Dan Tortora, the champion of Toppings and Touchdowns in the inaugural episode, and here at Pizza Man with the best of the best, the Delia family. Shout out to Jimmy and Luke. You're so busy tonight. I thank you all for all of your orders that always keep them busy, especially on a night like tonight. And thank you for fitting us in and letting us customize it and shoot a cool video. It's something unlike you've ever seen. It's the Food Network meets like College Game Day. Go check it out right now on youtube.com and facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. It'll be on X at CallDT as well. And if you took anything away from today, be with your friends, make good memories, love each other up, no matter what side of the coin you live on, folks. As a country, let's all just come together and love each other. We all like pizza, so why don't we just, you know what, I think Congress would be a lot better if we brought some Pizza Man pizza in there. I think they might get along a little bit better if we you know what we did? If we brought the pizza in, let them smell it, and said, until you all can come together right and left, you can't eat the pizza. That's how we change it. You can smell it, but you can't eat it.
Throw them a pizza party once a month.
Yeah, pizza party for Congress. We'll change the world real quick. Thank you, Al.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it. We'll talk with you all soon. And let this be a historical day where Al did not swear during this entire
God
broadcast.
damn it, I did not.
Come on, Al! Wait until we get to the end. Everybody have a good night. Pizza Man, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. Wake Up Call 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Same channels, youtube.com, facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Find out everything on our newly